first controversial issue of today is this one. Okay, so the gates of paradise are open. When do they open? that's the question. So if we look at this map, okay, this is the confusion is that people don't really look at maps to understand how the moon comes in, and so when it comes to the beginning of the month, what we've got is, you see here, you see North America and South America. We've got the new moon coming across this way, and so they are going to see the new moon way before any other part of the world. Okay, that's what we've got to understand first and foremost. That's not always the case though. What's interesting, everyone thinks that South America and South Africa will see the new moon first. Not necessarily. There are times when the northern hemisphere actually gets to see the new moon before the southern hemisphere, but generally the southern hemisphere will see the new moon first. There are times when us guys actually can see it. It depends on each part of the year. Okay, but this is for the sake of Ramadan this year. Yes. So you see this green patch. You must have seen this online. You can get these maps. Yeah. If you go into moonsighting.com and so forth, you'll see these maps. So the green means it's very likely to see. This is less likely, and it gets more and more unlikely here. And so we get this issue, don't we? Who do we follow? Okay. Do we go with a local sighting? Do we go with Saudi Arabia? Do we go with the first sighting? Whoever decides it first. Do we use astronomical data, or do we not? And all these questions. The way it's really solved is we say, and I said there's a whole debate about this, so this is just seems to be the most logical, is that we can't go with North America and South America. Why? Because if you look at hours of the day, they're in a different day when it's spotted. Okay, so if we do my maths is not very good, so how many hours are they? They're behind us, aren't they?
At least 5 hours.
At least 5 hours. So they're going to be in a different day generally when we spot the moon and they spot the moon. Okay, so because of that, they say it's not possible. The scholars, in the Hanafi school, the predominant position is that you can go over sighting over the whole world. But the question is, when the classical scholars spoke about that, what did they understand to be the whole world? Because in classical in the medieval period, people didn't realise. Well, that's a debate, isn't it? Was America, did the Muslims reach America or not? But generally, they saw it as this. In the Maliki school, they generally say you can go with a country that's from Spain to Khorasan. So we're looking at this distance, okay, generally. And now the question is that from this side? That would make sense as well, because it's on the same, latitude. And so, generally, they say as long the first sighting has to be with South America. Sorry, it has to be South Africa. They generally have a first sighting. You'll generally find they're in line with it. The reality is with England is we still generally don't see it, even when South Africa see it. But they say because of it's on the same latitude, we can go with them. As for Saudi, and this is the most controversial issue, is that Saudi generally do announce it first. But look, there's no way they can see it. If they've seen it, then someone here's got to see it. Okay. So this is the controversial issue. And so most of the communities say we wait for South Africa. As soon as we get a sighting from South Africa, then we go with them. We can't go with astronomical data and just predict it, because the birth of the new moon can be predicted. It can be calculated down to the minute, but the actual when it's possible to see it, there's a big difference. There's when it's born and then when it can be seen. Two different things, and that's unpredictable when it can be seen. And so what we do is, and I think this is the most logical thing, but even in our communities, people still predict Ramadan. But I think the healthiest thing is we say we predict it, and generally it's going to be accurate. So as soon as we see, as long as we see the green and the blue covering this area, we can say Ramadan's going to start there. 99% of the time that works, and that's what the community do here in Bradford. I've spoken to the organisations, and they say they've announced Ramadan already, haven't they? I think, yeah. I'm assuming they haven't announced it. They put the calendars down. Generally the mosques announce already. I think they're probably saying. I'm assuming they're saying 28th. It can be seen that night. Am I right? What are they saying in Medini?
27th? No?
Are they saying 20? It could be 27th or 28th. If you go into moon sighting, it will have that. It will show you. It's more likely to be 28th. Now, so we assume it's 28th, okay? But we always say there is a possibility for it to be seen the day before still. So we always have to have that option open. And that was what caused a controversy a few years back in Bradford, wasn't it? With Eid, do you remember?
Yes.
When the punch-ups in the mosque.
Yes.
That's because the organisations had said, no, it's definitely going to be here. But I said, that's not, you shouldn't say it's definitely, because it's not come in yet. Yeah. And so we say, no, it's more than likely, 99% of the time, 99% chance it's going to be here, so everyone's ready and prepared for it. But there is a slight possibility we still have to gauge, that it could be the next day. And that, because they were adamant, that's what caused the whole issue. And I said, it's not the organisations that decide when Eid is, and it's not the, it's not the ulama. Do you know who decides on when Eid is? The wives who are cooking. That's the reality. That's what they cause the punch-ups, I think. Because they were saying, I didn't shop yesterday, now you're telling me. Yeah, no husband will stand up to his wife there at that point. She says, you're going to ruin our Eid. I'm cooking. So they're the ones that make the decision. I've discovered.
That happened 2 years ago.
No, that was the big. Usually that would never happen because generally their predictions are okay. That prediction, because you see that it's possible in South Africa. That's when he's going to be. But you always have to decide. So you always have to state it's a possibility. So let's be prepared for it, and that solves that issue. Yeah, go on.
Sheikh, for example, like say that that colour chart was like shifted over and South Africa was there, Saudi was there, right?
So what you mean the green's over there?
Yes,
yeah.
So like if that was there.
Yeah.
And Saudi seen it, but there was like a physical barrier for South Africa, for example, like a cloudy day.
Yeah. You could do that. You could do that. It's not
so could South Africa?
As long as the Hanafi position is, as long as there's a global sighting, you can go with it.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. This is a whole debate. Is it local? Is it? And the reason that most countries like Morocco and Pakistan and India go with local sightings is because they say we can't trust the other countries because there's so many political issues here. Because it's a political issue. For Saudi Arabia, you have to be honest. It's a statement of authority. We have declared that it's Ramadan. We see subconsciously we see Mecca and Medina as the authorities of scholarship, of Islamic scholarship. So that's why that they say we should do it they want to announce it. Really, it doesn't make any sense geographically if you look at it. But now, some people ask, well, my family are going to be going on this day and this day. Just go with your family, really, because don't cause a controversy. There's no problem. There's the beginning of Ramadan is not an issue, because if your family are doing it the day before, you just do an extra day, make intention. There's nothing like we were saying with. You just make intention doing a naffal, or you just sneak a few, nuts in your pocket, and they don't know whether you're fasting or not. So it's not an issue. The issue's more Eid if you don't believe Ramadan's gone out yet, and they're eating. And so with that issue, I just say basically do Eid with them if it's your family, and make up the fast. You don't have to do kafara because you're not, kafara, the atonement, the penalty. The intention has to be you're violating the sacred month of Ramadan with that intention. For you to have to pay a penalty, you have to have the intention that basically give, to do with it. I don't care. I'm not fasting. If you do that, that's a penalty. But if you're doing it because you feel compelled to, because I can't do Eid on a different day to my family, this is crazy. You're not going to have to pay a penalty. You just make the fast up. So it's not. You just have to look at your circumstances. So. People in different circumstances, they have to assess them. Is there any questions?
Yes. You were saying about global cycling, so it means that just one country,
If any country spots it, you go with.
Or is it like few countries? It has to be few countries.
No, it can be anyone.
Anywhere.
Yeah. But then we say today it has to be verifiable. Like if it's not possible, then it's not possible. It's like someone saying to me, for example, I saw dawn come in, and it's Isha. No one. If it's scientifically impossible, it's impossible. And so we can use astronomical data to verify whether it's plausible or not. But we can't use astronomical data in order to assert when it is. Does that see the difference? So we can use it to back it up. So Saudi announce it, and it's absolutely impossible. That's like saying basically the sun's up when it's pitch black at night. Okay. But if, like Anise was saying, it's all green over here, they don't see it, but Saudis see it, yeah, no problem, we go with that. Because you can go, if you're a country here, you can go with any country here, because it's past. But if you're a country here, you can't go with a country here if it's there in another day, because of the hours. Does that make sense? And to be the practical solution, you haven't got a decision in this anyway, as common people. The only thing I'm going through this is just so people get a clarity, and that we have to raise more awareness about these issues. It's, you know, so a lot of people are confused. It's not that confusing. You know, it's pretty straightforward. And the more we become aware of this, then we can sort of come to more practical solutions. Unfortunately, at the moment, because the elders are in the, you know, it's difficult for them to explain. This is the way. Unfortunately, it's about we've done it this way, and we're not changing because we did it that way. So that's getting this.
Do you know, so with that colour graph there, it shows that it's pretty much unlikely for us to see it in the UK.
This isn't
right?
one on this. What's this? This isn't for Ramadan. This map. This is 2015.
Alright, so for example, if you were to look that up for
Go on moon sighting.
and then we see like this, and it looks similar to that, and then we come to the conclusion that okay, it's pretty much unlikely we're going to see it.
Yeah.
So then there'd be just no point for us to, like, if you just want to go moon sighting for the sake of it.
Yeah. No, but so Anise, the problem is that there is always a slim possibility.
Yeah.
So if South Africa, and that's what happened that year, there were actually verifiable. Then everyone tried to discredit them, didn't they? But the reality was there were verifiable scholars that spotted it. They're here, yes, then we go with them. But it's very, very slim chance that will happen. Okay, so in most cases, what the community do works. So I don't have a criticism in terms of the practicalities, I have a criticism in terms of the theory. Because you shouldn't announce something beforehand.
Yeah.
It's better just to say it's more than likely that this will be the case. And we just have to wait and be prepared. Does that clarify all the issues?